channel introduction video. Hello and welcome. Today I'll be answering some key questions about the creation and purpose of As An Aggregator and its role in transforming the way we consume and curate content. Let's dive in. Question 1. What prompted the creation of As An Aggregator and the chosen name? As an aggregator is the next phase in my journey as a content consumer. For most of my time spent on the internet, I personally identified with being a content consumer. Over the course of that journey, we've encountered problems. One of those problems was the need to cite my hypergraph. I found myself consuming content without a real way to index or digest it effectively. That's where the concept of playlists and playlist theory comes in. Now, what prompted the creation? It was the realization of the value of playlists in organizing my thoughts as a content consumer. I was consuming content with no real way to really index what that meant in terms of my consume digest. I could say, oh, hey, have you seen this? Oh, did you hear about this? Oh, yeah, I understand this as a result of blank blank. But over time, collating, okay, was that last week, last month, last year? Do I have a specific video for that? Can I rehypothecate the concept in general, or should I provide a reference? All of those things slowly became more relevant over time. Now, what is a consumed digest? A consumed digest is an accounting of what one is consuming, and it can sketch an outline to differentiate your why. What is your content consume digest? And maybe you might learn why by being able to index that. Most people, they would acknowledge this in terms of their YouTube history proper, maybe their liked videos, maybe some of their watched later videos. But a consumed digest as a bucket is kind of an all-encompassing version of this, whether it's within the YouTube ecology itself or whether it represents your broader content surface area involving other platforms and different mediums. Now, this can take on the lens of people, concepts, and ideas. By organizing incoming content into playlists, we can see what we have and haven't consumed over various time periods, and then check back in on that at a later date. My consumed digest includes YouTube, Twitch, Clubhouse, formerly in 2023, Snapchat, Threads, and LinkedIn. We do look to include Clubhouse uh, within our overall content ecosystem. Actually, to give a backstory, um, Clubhouse was actually a solve within my consume digest ever since Periscope got discontinued. As a content consumer, it's easy for me to say, okay, I have an idea. Let me go find a search term and search it out, and then find a video, and then maybe a content creator, and kind of assimilate those references over time. Next. So for YouTube, it's nice to know whether or not this is just content for ASAP consumption, whether this belongs to a larger term category specific item that I'm focusing on, or whether this is just part of whatever is being published this month or this quarter. So here I'm talking about kind of how I structure my consume digest in terms of playlist categories. Our categories, the most bare bones categories that we've distilled is one, category specific, two, an ASAP playlist or a staging area playlist, or something temporal, whether it be daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, or yearly. And then as we find videos, whether that be because they're being published through our subscription box, or we find them in search, or we have an edge to them to the extent that we're provided a link, or we're going back in our history to refine relevance within them. As they become relevant for one reason or another, we can add them to a playlist index for that specific context. and then we can kind of gain like a meta perception on, okay, why did we decide to put this video into this specific playlist for our consumption or to share with others? And you get to kind of hone in on some of those details that can better contextualize your consume digest to give you a better impression on what are you consuming and how do you relate to this content. Next, so for me, what prompted the creation of As an Aggregator? Well, it was seeing this need within the cybernetic ecology and saying, okay, well, playlists have proved to be invaluable for me as a content consumer. Now, the next step is let's see if we can figure out a way to establish this use case for others involving playlists and figure out if we can connect this value proposition for content consumers, content creators, and eventually, hopefully, content curators as well. Question 2. What inspired the chosen name for the channel? The name As an Aggregator represents the next phase in my journey as a content consumer. It's all about increasing content literacy from the perspective of playlists. A content consumer consumes and processes. A content curator aggregates. Okay, so yeah, what am I saying? I'm saying a content consumer consumes and processes. A content curator aggregates. This kind of prototypical form is the basis for how we seek to structure playlist theory from the perspective of your everyday to your most advanced content consumers to content creators just seeking to structure their own content better for consumers or just allowing it to be better segmented for different segmentations, whether that be, something really niche and specific or something more wide, depending on how expansive their content archive is. The goal is to share this technique and provide a template for others, both as content consumers, curators, and content creators as a whole. Question 3. What are the primary purpose and goals of the channel over the next 9 months? The primary goal is to iron out concepts, specifically focusing on playlist theory. We want to develop a thought process around the technique of playlist creation and curation. There are different needs that a content consumer might use to organize content for their personal consumption. This contrasts to how a content creator might seek to organize their content for a more cohesive/differentiated viewing experience. Additionally, we'll conduct a formal analysis of content consumption, delving into culture commentary from a technical and non-technical lens. So what does that mean? On this channel and just throughout the course of my journey as a content consumer, we've kind of settled in on this term called culture commentary. That's a large bucket term to describe anything from somebody giving their thoughts on the current topic of the day or your most technical, in-depth analysis from a very niche perspective. So, in saying, okay, well, is this culture commentary? Is this not culture commentary? We're kind of dive into that in terms of a formal analysis of content consumption. What merits this level of technical differentiation in terms of technical versus non-technical content, and also the content consumption landscape as a whole. What's being published? What's going on out here in the YouTube streets? We love to consume it and we love to give our thoughts and analysis on the trends that we see. As a content consumer, content creation is a challenging prospect for me. I found assistance using large language models to help contextualize, reframe, and publish. If so relevant, I'll make a formal video documenting some of my process flows. Otherwise, the meta contextualization for the video will be included within a static video anchor playlist. So what does that mean? That means that on this channel, it's going to be described in the channel table of contents, but we have 4 main pillars. We have playlist theory, a formal analysis of content consumption, the intersection of our content with large language models, and then playlists proper, whether that be curated playlist, playlist within the search engine, or different ways to package the ideas of our videos involving playlists. Lastly, I wouldn't be a content curator if we didn't include our own playlists and hypergraph explorations. So this will include YouTube search explorations and YouTube playlist explorations, where we will find a unique search vector and explore some videos and slash or playlists surrounding that topic. Question 4. How do you envision engaging with the audience and building a community? I envision engaging with the audience through the comments channel to provide video feedback and community discussions with like-minded content consumers and aspiring content curators. Our quote-unquote the comments channel is designed as an internal dark forest within YouTube, a place for like-minded individuals to go one layer deeper, as is our motto as we jump through this navigation heuristic involving playlists. So what does this really mean? This is a kind of an interesting experiment that we thought about engaging in terms of in integration with the static video anchor playlist. Do playlists really, do comments really need to be anchored to a video? For the sake of the content consumption experience, one might say yes, but sometimes comments are so powerful that they merit the ability to be shared, indexed, and digested apart and separate from the video itself. In accordance with that, sometimes, whether that be as a result of a second layer response video saying, okay, well, the video was published, and then we have a video in a static video anchor playlist where we might talk about, okay, so what was this video about? Oh, did you guys, what did you guys get out of this specific video? Is there any suggestions? Or what type of reflections? Different types of call and response feedback that we can engage in a more personalized directed manner. And that may exist just within the static video anchor playlist, or we may disable comments altogether and funnel people there. So depending on where we're at in terms of technique, to the extent that it's relevant, we're definitely going to go far more in depth in terms of community building and discussions over in the comments channel, which will usually have a linked video anchored to the video in question with the response video going another layer deeper. Question 5. Are there specific themes or topics that will be consistently explored on the channel? Some of the themes we'll explore include playlists, content consumption, hypergraphs, content curation, prompting and prompt engineering, as well as culture commentary at large. These topics will be dissected and framed from the perspective of playlists, as we believe it's an overlooked tool within the cybernetic ecology of YouTube. Question 6. What can viewers expect in terms of format and frequency of content? The format is still evolving, but our goal is to publish content every 36 hours, aiming for at least one published product per week. We want to provide consistent insights into content consumption, content curation techniques, and the integration of large language models into our creative process. In conclusion, a summary for As An Aggregator pretty much is about transforming content consumption into curation with a focus on playlist theory and navigating the cybernetic ecology of YouTube by using the features available to enhance the viewer experience. I'm excited to explore these topics with you on this channel. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and I look forward to our discussions in the comments channel. Until next time, stay curious.